Lashes and skincare for the Talk 365 team is provided by AP Med Spa.
And welcome back to Talk 365 TV. One of the things that is amazing as a hockey player is that prior to the 80s, some players wore helmets, but it wasn't mandatory. And
playing hockey?
Yep. And there was a Craig McTavish who played for, I believe, Calgary, was the last NHL player to play without a helmet.
Did he die?
No, but...
Did anyone die?
No, it is so shocking. I mean, it really is. And just as an interesting adjunct, football, the biggest problem that the NFL has now is concussions.
Yeah.
It is the majority of players have some evidence of that. People have been concussed a couple times in a game, and they're doing a better job of it. And hockey concussions are a big deal also.
Yeah.
And I remember for Christmas a couple years ago, my brother got me a brand new helmet, and the first game back, I got tripped and went back, and I would have been out cold with my own helmet and in really bad shape.
Wow.
But rugby is a sport which is played without helmets, actually has and is equally as violent as any other game, have much less injuries. And the reason for that is that when you're using your head without padding, you don't throw it in. You protect your head. They tackle with their heads up. And the big problem in sports, both hockey and football, is heads down. And I was taught to tackle head down.
Really?
You spear the guy. So if you're going down, for instance...
But that's illegal in college ball, isn't it?
Spearing is, but that's how you hit. And so when I learned, literally, as a wide receiver on punting situations, my job was to go down and tackle the guy. And I remember one time coming down, seeing the guy, I go, this is going to be great. And I put my head down, and he just moved to the right about 1.5 feet, and I missed. That's embarrassing when you watch.
Did you just go down?
Yeah, I was going to smack him, and all he did,
He just moved over. You were in it.
In film, I noticed that he did have a cape.
It was like bull.
And what were you going to say in a different Imagine Dragon?
Imagine Dragons front guy Dan Reynolds produced a documentary and starred in with Don Argot as the director. It debuted at the Sundance Film Festival 2018, and we got a chance to interview basically the cast and crew and everybody behind this whole movement of the Love Loud Festival. It follows the story of how that happened last year, and it's an amazing story. We had some amazing interviews with everybody who's involved, and it's become a whole social movement. And because we've had so much views and likes of it and requests, and with the Love Loud just going on sale, we wanted to re-air this. So coming at you right now is our coverage of the red carpet of Believer up at Sundance. Here you go.
Hey everybody, it's Holly Love coming at you from the red carpet of the 2018 Sundance Film Festival, and I'm excited to tell you about this next film because it is basically about our own culture right here in Utah. Dan Reynolds, who is the lead singer of the Imagine Dragons, he created a documentary film called Believer, where he basically is asking if we can please come together as a community and love each other. And also he brought in Tyler from the Neon Trees, and they put on a concert to try to bring together the Mormon Church and the LGBT community in Provo, Utah last year. And this documentary follows the process. And from the red carpet, I got a chance to chat with Dan and Tyler and the director and a bunch of other people supporting this cause. Check it out. Tell me a little bit about how you became part of this project.
Dan and I have known each other for a very long time. Both our bands kind of blew up at the same time, and we've had an intersectional life. But when he sort of was going through a faith crisis last year, he had paid a lot of attention to my own experience that I put public about leaving the church and coming out. And he was putting this documentary that he had no idea what was going to be, but he was putting it together, and he called me last April. And then since then, we've just done some amazing work together. And we did a show in August called Love Loud, and now it's a whole movement. And this film tonight, so it's really powerful, and I get to share my story, which is really exciting.
In the film, I am Dan's personal assistant for him and his family, and I was hired at the same time that Love Loud was conceived. And so shortly after being hired, I found myself planning a giant music festival, and yeah, it was amazing. Right? Yeah, thousands of people, trying to save lives, no big deal.
You got that.
But so that was my job, is to help bring the festival to life and help create eventually a charity.
So early on when Dan was thinking about this and thinking this is something that he really wanted to put his power and weight behind, he called one of his friends who's also a co-writer, he's a queer gentleman, Justin Tranter, and said, anybody I should talk to, and Justin's on our board, and said, call GLAAD, this is what they do, they're storytellers, they're change agents for the culture, and they're your people. And so right away, his team called our team, and we started working together on this, and it's been an amazing ride.
It was an emotional moment to see that the film got into Sundance, because this is a very relevant place for the film, right here in Utah, where the number one reason for death among teenagers is suicide. It's the home of Mormonism. And so there's not a more relevant place for Believer than here, also the biggest film festival in the world. So I was ecstatic, I was emotional, and I'm really excited for tonight.
I wouldn't say up until working on this project that I couldn't name you one Mormon person that I knew. That being said, I mean, coming into this community and obviously working with Dan, I got to meet a lot of people that are Mormon and ex-Mormon, and you just got to really know a lot about the religion. And I get it. At the heart of it, it's all like your tribe. I grew up listening to heavy metal. Those are my people. You know what I mean? And you grow up Mormons. I get it. And it's all about connecting. It's all about that community. And so it was a really interesting education to come into it through this lens, and honestly, to be able to be a part of Dan's story that could potentially affect change within the Mormon Church is incredible.
And how have you seen things change, and what can we do to help make it go faster?
Well, I think we've seen great progress over the years, right? Even just the past decade. I think we are in a different time right now in the past year, where we're seeing the culture retreat and acceptance roll back. And so I think films like this are more important than ever right now to open minds and hearts and to have conversations that are so critical for the community.
Do you have a Mormon background, or was this all brand new stuff to you?
No, so I'm Mormon just like Dan. My dad's a bishop, and I served a mission just like Dan did. And we both have a lot of love for the culture of Mormonism and the Mormon people. And so I think that's what helped us be able to make a change, is because you can't change what you don't love. And so we have a lot of love for it, and that's what's helped us hopefully begin to have a positive impact.
Tell me what you hope to achieve from this documentary and from your involvement with all of this.
The only thing I can say is that I want to achieve change. And I think it can be done when people share their stories from their heart, and that's what this film is. And there's a lot of things you just can't deny about someone's personal experience. And I think Mormons, and I think people that have inherent goodness because of their faith will be really touched by this film. And I also hope that queer kids all over see this film and say it's okay. So that's what I hope.
Were you aware of Utah and Mormonism and the high suicide rate? Was this new information at all for you?
Unfortunately, it wasn't new information for me. It's an epidemic around the world, and the country especially, where children are kicked out of their house or rejected because they're LGBTQ, because of the religious beliefs of their parents. And so it does affect the Mormon community right here, where we are right now, but it affects every community across America. And so this is definitely a domestic issue that we're dealing with. And I think that the importance of this film is it's going right at it, and it's building a conversation between the Mormon Church and the LGBTQ community and bringing those together, because you can be LGBTQ and religious. It's not either or, it's and that's what the conversation is that we want to have.
What do you think at the end of the day the message is to help us create change? What do we need to do? What did you learn?
I mean, listen, it's trite to say love, because obviously that's a given, and that's the church basically says that. I think unfortunately it's going to come down to doctrinal changes that need to happen. And if, as much as I do not understand about the Mormon Church, it is it's still a living, breathing. They're talking to to God still. So it can change. There's been changes in the past, with blacks getting the priesthood and polygamy being outlawed. So who's to say that this can't change?
I love it. Thank you.
Love Loud Fest was inspiring, to say the least. We hoped that Utah would come out and support us, but we really didn't know, and it got really down to the wire. And then by the end of the time, we had almost 20,000 people there, and an endorsement from the LDS Church. That's crazy, it's amazing, and it's steps. And now since the film, I've been able to take the role of the executive director of that foundation, and we're working on next year. We're already planning for Love Loud 2018, and we know that Utah will support us. And it's hard, but if we're patient and loving, we can make some changes.
I want our youth today across America to know that we love them and that we're going to take care of them and that we're fighting for them, and to hold on and don't lose hope. And we're out there on the front lines making sure that this world is a better place for them to come out in.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, there's so many things that we need to do. One would be to reach out and truly love and accept our LGBT youth. Love is just a word. To say I love you, but to insinuate that they are less than, that's the problem. We need to treat them with equality, and that means they should be able to love who they love without judgment, without being told that that's sinful. And until that happens, our youth are going to continue to have high rates of suicidality, anxiety, and depression. It's just saying love. It's a platitude. It's a word. Action, action, action.
Thank you so much. With the suicide rate so high, it's so important that we talk about it, and I love that you guys have been working on it. I mean, do you have answers for what we can do?
I do, in a way where it needs to stop, where we're shaming, and this culture that unfortunately exists in this area and in the culture of Mormonism, that needs to stop. And I think knowing that even just a year and a half ago I had suicidality because I left what I thought I knew, and it's hard to pick up the pieces and find your identity when you're told the whole time that it's a sin and you need to stop. It's a hard thing to hear, and I heard that too long, and I allowed myself to be damaged from it. And I want to make sure people that feel the way I've felt don't feel that way anymore, or at least know what to do when they do feel that way.